What's going on, you all? Capcom got some more exciting stuff. We're just going to be checking out the GOATs and more and just seeing what they're up to. And it's just amazing to have all this for fighting games right now. We're in the best era of fighting games, and we like to cover that a lot. So if you're interested in that, hit us up, man. We do plenty of community stuff, streams, and more, man. Let's react. Let's do our breakdown, some insights, and let's do it, man.
Lo and behold, there it was. A combination of two of the most incredible things that I had ever known in my life together in one game.
It's so cool to see that, man.
Everybody knows Street Fighter, everybody knows X-Men. Everybody that watches any cartoons, you know what I'm saying, you always have that what if factor in your mind. Like, man, what if these guys would fight?
When you're watching X-Men animated cartoon and you see like Storm and Magneto flying around, you know, chasing against Sentinels, it really felt like that. It felt like the gameplay really represented what we grew up with.
If you're looking at what drew me to Marvel vs. Capcom, it's probably what drew a lot of people to Marvel vs. Capcom, is Spider-Man could punch Ryu. It didn't take more than that. That's enough.
But the fact that you had an opportunity to use characters like Gambit or Rose versus Cammy and Chun-Li.
It's really, really true. And Marvel wasn't even Marvel at this point, right? Like, and it was still huge, especially like the comic book aspect of it before it became like the MCU. This was just huge.
It's a game that kind of just like lets you do whatever because, you know, they didn't exactly know how this was going to play out. That refinement is one of the coolest things to look at, in my personal opinion.
I think also that's why like Mortal Kombat gets massive love for like their guest characters, because it's insane to see like Homelander like face somebody else. You know what I mean?
My first encounter with the series technically goes back to a Pizza Hut, probably in the mid-1990s with X-Men Children of the Atom, and that game was effectively an extension of the show, which was arguably one of the best.
If there's anybody that's more excited than me, for sure, it's this guy right here. This guy's been raving for this stuff and is working on like a full-on mod too. Like Max the GOAT, man.
Things of the 1990s.
First game I ever seen was X-Men vs. Street Fighter. That was the gateway for me to go check out X-Men Children of the Atom.
The first time I probably ever touched a Marvel vs. Capcom game was Marvel Super vs. Street Fighter. A lot of people in my school, they're like kids playing this game. They were able to do air combos, and I was trying to be friends with them, and they said, you can't be my friend if you can't beat me in this game. So I went and took a whole summer playing the game by myself, practicing, so I could learn how to play the game and beat them, and then I actually beat them and became their friends.
My personal favorite, to be very honest with you, as a one-on-one was Marvel Superheroes, but it was more so of the upbringing playing that game. From
That's
like
crazy, man.
Money to
even arcade era also, like, it's a little bit more like, yo, you gotta smoke me in this game, man, if you want like some respect. It's so dope.
Play the game and actually competing to see who was the best in the building or in the world or whatever the case may be. It could be a living room just playing with your homies. Just giving me that competitive edge and that camaraderie with the homies coming up and getting really acquainted with the fighting game community is pretty cool.
I think some of the bigger moments from the Marvel vs. Capcom series come to learning the game in an arcade.
Yes, arcade era. There you go. See the arcade era. Let's go. That's where I'm from. 90s kids stand up, man.
At least for me personally, it was all about that camaraderie, the people that you don't even know the names of, but you know the teams they're using.
Facts.
So you effectively get labeled as the Strider Gambit kid, or, you know, the everybody playing Wolverine kind of guy.
I love Wolverine.
Those moments hold a lot in my head because it kind of brought everybody together in the arcades. There was this one unifying factor, and it was a game. For a lot of people, that's MVC2. For me, it's Marvel 1 because it goes a few years before.
So if X-Men Children of the Atom set the tone, Marvel Superheroes set the base.
When they started with Children of the Atom, it got really good in Marvel Superheroes, and then it got even better in X-Men vs. Street Fighter to the point where we get to Marvel vs. Capcom 1, and they have this foundation that really works and it's really good, and then they throw it on its head completely and make the game 3v3 in an absolute, like, wild game with MVC2.
My favorite Marvel...
MVC2? Insane. Is insane. You know what I mean? I can't, like, I don't know, man. It's so hard to talk about, man. It's just so great.
Marvel's Capcom game, it has to be Marvel's Capcom 2. The fact that you can play 3 characters and the diversity, the team synergies, and I think the endless hours I've put into the game is a game where I still find new things about the game. It's so old, and the fact that it's 24 years later, I'm still learning new things about the game. I still get excited about the game. It's one of those things where anything Marvel's Capcom 2 related, if I see a cabinet, if I see a setup,
that's dope.
I kind of want to go and jump on.
You got to remember the delist of the game. Like, it was delisted. So it's just like Mortal Kombat 9 with us right now, with Mortal Kombat fans. You know, I wasn't like a massive man. I knew these games, of course, but just like MK9, bro, it's like being delisted sucks. Playing AI all day, like the fact that this is active, so dope, man. It looks sick, dude. Our arcade version of it, of the actual like new era.
I think Marvel
of it.
vs. Capcom as a series as a whole. Marvel 2 is obviously a big one, and Ultimate Marvel 3 is another great example.
Facts.
But this is a franchise and a combination of things that not just brings in casual players, also definitely appeals towards a hardcore mindset.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was always the rowdy game. To be honest with you, I mean, from betting little pennies and just talking smack,
Yep.
it definitely left a lasting impression into the FGC today, I will say.
Flying everywhere, going from like diagonal up, diagonal down, like across the screen, super jumping all.
It's just insane because like Street Fighter was massive, and to have like the full essence of Capcom and Marvel was just like Street Fighter was massive, still is.
over the place. I think Marvel vs. Capcom 2 at EVO is always hype.
I think Marvel vs. Capcom and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 specifically really influenced the competitive gaming community, particularly in America, because without it, I'm not sure we have this. Storylines around Justin Wong and Yipes and Duck Vader and Sanford are bedrock for a lot of what has come since to help us build up to the giant events that we're filming at right now.
You got to pay homage to that game because that's where the core hype really started, man. In terms of that energy, in terms of expressing that salt, in terms of really expressing that excitement to the people, in terms of the rivalries, in terms of the continued rivalries.
I love that.
That's the best part of history when it comes to FGC.
Marvel vs. Capcom is effectively like my game.
That reaction is wild.
I've been
because he was wearing the shirt and it went crazy, man.
Around a lot of different fighting game communities, and I've told myself that I can only champion so much, and there is.
He deserves it utmost. His whole channel has been awareness, education, more like it's insane how much of a mold and how much it turned around for him. Like Max, the GOAT, man.
Very few that I can effectively put my stamp on, where it's like, yeah, this is the one that I like truly love. And the MVC series as a whole is effectively that.
I think the original Marvel vs. Capcom competitive scene helps the current competitive scene, and that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is part of that story. It's part of that journey.
Facts.
If we don't have Marvel vs. Capcom 2, if you don't have the popularity of that title at the time, you don't have it releasing and being competed on console for the first time, and the scalability that comes with that, I don't know that America transitions into these large-scale tournaments anywhere near as quickly.
Well, I mean, Marvel vs. Capcom, like series, it pretty much changed my life. It got me into the competitive scene, which pretty much got me here today, which is able to pay the bills for the family, you know, meet my beautiful wife, my daughter and everything. So if I never...
That's so cool, bro. Honestly, like, it's what I love my account for, like to spread the awareness and to like just understand like FGC, which was known as hella niche still to this day, I mean, compared to like Call of Duty and stuff. But if we can get to that point where even casuals can make somewhat of a living or an awareness or a side hustle from FGC, I mean, doing what they love is insane.
Never played Marvel vs. Capcom, I don't know what was going to happen, right? Maybe my life would have been in a completely different direction. I won my first tournament, and from there, it steamrolled to me traveling across the world. I really owe my life to Marvel vs. Capcom,
That's
I
dope,
think, when
man.
it comes down to that.
So inspiring.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2 pretty much made the man that I am today. Gave me an opportunity to travel the world and speak to people. It gave me an opportunity to really know and feel what it's like to be like, I mean, at the time I wasn't really thinking about it, but now looking back, kind of felt like, you know, when a basketball player was on the road for the season, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, I wasn't out there all freaking day everywhere, but like, it just gave me that, you know, that first look of what it really was to be a competitor for real.
I think the Marvel vs. Capcom.
That's dope. Like, it's a great mentality to have too, because like competing is at that level. Obviously, when you say esports or athletes, like people were like, oh, gamers are not athletes, but I mean, esports is massive. There's a lot of mental capacity, man, and just like what you need to do, especially aside from like mix-ups and mashing, like actually having that blueprint, having that move flow chart and what you're doing, you know what I mean? It's so amazing. Even me, like I love fighting games once again due to all these games and due to the capacity mentally and like the smarts that you need to react to that.
Collection promotes a unique opportunity because of the limited availability of having them all together at once is something that has never actually happened before.
Which is
gives people
dope. Right. A collection. I'm crying for a Mortal Kombat collection, by the way.
Chance to go back and see kind of the history, kind of where this franchise came from. You can see why people might have been losing their minds as teenagers in the 90s when this stuff first happened. And then if you really want to check out how the gameplay gets refined over time, which is one of my favorite things, you can see how different a game like Marvel vs. Capcom 1 is from X-Men vs. Street Fighter, is from Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Now with so much ways that you can share information.
And even until now, that goes all the way until now, right? Not just like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, like even to Ultimate Marvel 3, and then all the way into fighting games in totality, like how they revolutionized everything. That's why I say this is the best era ever, especially for the big three of games, of fighting games like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and Tekken. But not only that, just like the evolution of it and how popular they are now. Like, it's amazing, man.
I think it's very easy for everybody to get involved, especially with all the historic matches and stuff that has happened in the past that's so logged in that you can always go back and watch. I feel like there's too many pieces in the Marvel vs. Capcom series where you can get inspired easily to get involved with the game.
I don't think we would ever get tired of playing more Marvel vs. Capcom.
It's a dream come true sort of game that allows those characters and franchises and things that you wish could have existed on their own. Marvel vs. Capcom as a platform sort of allows that to happen.
If you're a new
Facts. Again, which is why Mortal Kombat is still beloved for their massive guest characters, because it's just cool to see. Like, seeing Jason in Mortal Kombat, seeing like Ghostface now in Mortal Kombat is going to be insane, man. We're missing Michael Myers, by the way.
new player coming into Marvel vs. Capcom and you're like, man, you know, this is an old game, I'm kind of young, I want to get into the game, just pick whoever you want. The combos are so fun. You can literally stay in training mode for hours, and literally there's so many people that's going to be playing this game on stream, on Twitch, make YouTube tutorials. So it's really easy to get into. So I hope you guys stick with it, and maybe I'll play with you guys in the future.
You mean dominate people. That man's been dominating everybody. What a cool thing for this, man. Again, something where if you're old as shit like me, to be born in 90s and to be born now, like, this is amazing to see both attributions of this fighting game era, how it's evolved, where it's going. It is definitely, I wouldn't say it's peaking, but it's definitely in a prime right now that we have to take full advantage of. I mean, I'm so excited to be making these types of videos. As this, I'm very passionate about. It's always been so niche that it didn't get the awareness I felt, but now it's catching traction. We're feeling a little bit better about it. But yeah, I just love it wholeheartedly. And y'all's comments and y'all's insights do mean a lot too, man. Capcom doing everything content-wise that they could possibly do to keep fighting game fans excited. And man, what a great route it is, man. But y'all got to be letting me know what's up. I mean, come on, man. We got MVC2. They actually agreed to the Xbox coming in 2025 that you see. Let me see. I'll show it right here. Like, you can see it right here. Boom. So, like, that's just the way it goes, man. I appreciate y'all. Let me know y'all's thoughts and everything, man. This is incredible. We're living in the best era, I think, for fighting games, at least up until this point. And all these installments just came out. Street Fighter last year, Mortal Kombat technically last year, but it just passed their year thing, their year anniversary. And then you got Tekken. This came out in January, like over 6 months, I think, now. So everything's fairly new. These installments are all looking at least 4 or 5 years. Tekken's case, probably way longer. But yeah, I appreciate y'all, man. Let me know y'all's thoughts. Peace.